Hey guys, so you should be on step 2 of your checklist of taking the steps of meiosis notes, and everyone periods 1, 2, 4, 6, 7, 8 should be watching this video and taking the notes. Alright, so we're going to go over the steps of meiosis. So meiosis happens only in sexual reproduction. And the purpose of this is to increase genetic variation. So basically, this is the process of how you are not a clone of your parents. Okay? The place that this happens, or what it's producing, are your sex cells. So this produces sex cells, which are scientifically called gametes. So this is how you make the sex cells. Now, it only makes sense that where this process happens is in your sex organs. So in a female, for location of where this happens, in a female, meiosis will happen in your ovaries, and the product of meiosis will be eggs. In a male, the location where meiosis happens is your testes or testicles, and it will produce sperm. So that is what it is. So it's part of sexual reproduction. It produces your sex cells or gametes. In a female, your sex cells are eggs, and in a male, your sex cells are sperm. Alright, so meiosis, this is like a really brief depiction of meiosis. Meiosis starts with one parent diploid cell. So diploid means it has all chromosomes. So we learned before in a human, humans have 46 chromosomes. So this cell would have 46 chromosomes. Now, through the process of meiosis, we're going to get to the phases or the steps in a minute. When all of these phases go through, you end up with 4 unique, that means that they are not clones of the parent, 4 unique daughter cells that are haploid. I know these are really weird words. Haploid literally just means you have half the chromosomes. So you have half the chromosomes. So in this case, each of these 4 daughter cells would have, in a human, 23 chromosomes. And we know that because when we looked at this karyotype and you're getting 1 chromosome from your mom, 1 chromosome from your dad, well, you're getting it because the egg from the mom only has half the chromosomes and your dad in his sperm only has half of his chromosomes. When they combine, you get a full set, but that's also why you are not identical to your parents. Okay. The other thing that you need to know, well, we're about to go through all of the phases of meiosis, so you need to distinguish between homologous chromosomes and sister chromatids. So remember that chromosomes are literally just condensed DNA. So this is when we package DNA up all nice and pretty. It just makes it a lot easier to move around whenever we're making more cells. Homologous just means similar. So if I look at these chromosomes, they may not be the same, but they look similar in size and shape. So chromosomes, each chromosome is made up of 2 sister chromatids. So remember before mitosis happens, meiosis happens, all of your chromosomes double, like all of your DNA is doubled. So this would have been after your chromosomes have doubled. You have homologous chromosomes that are similar, but they might not be the same. Knowing that, flip your page. Your page may have some of these boxes filled in. It may not. If you don't already have these words written in the boxes, you should take a minute to actually write those down. So with these pictures, we are going to go through and just explain what's happening in each of these phases. Meiosis, it looks very similar to mitosis, but it has a couple of changes. So I'm just going to walk you through what these are. So let's start with, and the names sound the same as mitosis too. So there are two main stages of meiosis. There's meiosis 1 and meiosis 2. So that's why we have these Roman numerals next to each of the phases. So in prophase 1, this is when still the chromosomes condense, so we can actually see the chromosomes. And then there's something that is called crossing over. We're going to go over a lot later, like what crossing over is, but just know that crossing over occurs in prophase 1. All right, metaphase 1. Now this is when homologous chromosomes line up in the middle. So I see here my homologous chromosomes. Notice how these chromosomes look very similar to one another. They may not be the same, but they are similar. And they are lining up in the middle of the cell, like this midline right here. All right, next, my homologous chromosomes separate. That's anaphase, to opposite sides of the cell. And then finally in telophase 1, my two cells are produced, each with a nucleus that has formed around the newly divided genetic material, or the chromosomes. Now, this kind of looks like the end of mitosis. Remember, we had one slight difference that crossing over had occurred. So that's a super duper big difference between meiosis and mitosis. After telophase 1, it's not done. It goes into meiosis 2, all right, for a second round of cell division. So once again, my chromosomes will make sure that they are nice and tidy and packaged so that they can divide again. In metaphase 2, now notice, because I have divided my original set of DNA or chromosomes into now 2 cells, each of these cells don't have homologous chromosomes, but they have sister chromatids. They have half the number. So sister chromatids line up in the middle. And then these sister chromatids will go to opposite ends of the cell. And then finally in telophase 2, I have 4 haploid unique daughter cells. So each of these have half of the number of genetic material that I started with. In a female, these would be I've just produced 4 eggs, and then in a male, I have just produced 4 different sperm. But remember, they produce 4 haploid unique daughter cells that are actually your gametes, or sex cells. All right, so that is the review of your, or not review, but that's your lesson on the phases of meiosis. It's going to take a lot of practice with this. What you are doing next is practicing. This is your steps of meiosis worksheet. It's this page and this page, depending on what your sheet looks like. And get started. Let me know if you have any questions.